We pay respect first. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Great. So we are exploring Dhammapada in different themes, and tonight is the last class of exploring the Dhammapada. So in the last class last month, we talked about a well-controlled mind. And a well-controlled mind, it says in verse 173, is one who by good covers the evil he has done, illuminates this world like the moon freed from a cloud. If you have looked up to the sky these last couple of days at the sunset or at 9 o'clock, you see a very bright round moon. Still last night you can see one, but probably tonight you can because it's so foggy. So when there is no cloud, the moon is so bright and clear, and especially on a full moon day, a couple of days ago, it was like really, really round. And in the Dhammapada, it actually uses it to exemplify somebody who has done a lot of good deeds or wholesome actions. So when we talk about this well-controlled mind, last time I wanted you to reflect upon the last class was, has your mind ever tricked or cheated you? I like these few questions. And how do you feel when you found out it has tricked and cheated you? Can you say that you know your mind well? So somebody actually, Irene couldn't attend the class tonight, and she actually sent in the reflections through email. So I will share with everybody about Irene's reflections. She said, for the first question, has your mind ever tricked or cheated you? She said, yes, very often. Before practicing meditation, but less after practicing meditation. And now she's being more cautious of her thoughts, her bodily and verbal actions. For the second question, she said, prior to practicing meditation, before she took up meditation, she easily feel angry, stupid, and doubtful of the fact or truth of the subjects that she was being tricked. And after practicing deeper in meditation, it's easier to let go and be able to smile after learning being tricked by the mind. That's nice. Easier to forgive. I don't know whether it's forgiving herself or forgiving others, but easier to forgive. And not afraid to apologize when making mistakes, and embrace challenges as they help her to grow. And the last question, she said, I asked, can you say that you know your mind well? No. She said, I don't know my mind very well. Our mind moves and when causes and conditions are ripened. And the untrained mind reacts when phenomena arises. That is, the things we see, we hear, we smell, we touch, and we think. However, due to continuing practicing meditation, she found herself easier to detach and stay focused at the present moment instead of chasing after her own feelings from the phenomena that has arisen. That's not bad. Very good. So it's your turn. So anybody would like to share anything on these reflections? No? Or have you not explored these few verses that we have touched on last time? Anybody? Got a microphone? I'm so surprised you being a teacher and you are so shy to talk on a microphone. Different thing, eh? Yeah, because they are kids.
Good evening.
At least they don't see your face.
Yeah, that's true. Good evening, everyone. Thank you to Irene for that really nice answer. It was made me think that was very similar to what I was going to say.
Yeah.
I was going to offer the example, has my mind ever tricked or cheated me? So many times, but the one that I most often notice is I tend to think that my ideas are the best ideas.
Yeah.
Always, you know, and
Yeah.
if they would just do it my way, everything would be great. So, but like Irene, with meditation and more reflection, you really realize what a trick that is.
Yeah.
So,
Have you ever experienced, if people really follow your way, because you're so insistent, right? So my way is the best way. So you're so insistent that your way is the best way. So people follow. Okay, do it Laurie's way, and it didn't work out.
yes, that has happened.
How did it feel?
Not very good. Definitely.
Yeah. But even though not very good, but still we put up a face that, oh yeah, my way is still the best way, but it just didn't work out this time, right?
Right. You try to save face. Exactly.
Yeah, trying to save face all the time, and, or shuffle off the responsibilities to other things that could possibly make it don't work, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Our mind is really so much smarter than us, isn't it?
It's true.
Yeah, great. Thank you. That's just a nice sharing. Thank you, Laurie. Anybody else? Yeah. Oh, Versha and Laurie and yeah, Nora after Versha. Okay, Versha. Are you there, Versha? She's not there. She put up her hand. Oh, there you go. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm on my phone tonight and I can't figure out the video, so I apologize for that.
That's okay.
Yeah, the question about has my mind ever tricked or cheated me, I'm pretty sure it does that all the time. However, I don't notice it, but the time that I really notice it now is when I'm meditating, and you know how you sit with strong determination, you come to the mat, and I'm like, I am going to stay with my breath. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I did not stay with my breath. And I'm in awe of how the mind just wanders away on me. And then all of a sudden, you know, there's this realization, oh, so that is my clearest example of when my mind cheats me. I think. And so that makes me think that, I mean, how often does that happen when we're not, you know, focused and trying to be mindful? I don't know that answer, but I think it must happen more often than we think.
So you would say that you don't know your mind very well, right?
I don't know my mind very well. But the good thing about studying the Dhamma is it actually asks you to look inwards.
Yes.
Which is not something we're used to doing.
Yes.
You know, outside of the practice. So
Yes.
I think that's maybe a really important thing that we all do need to learn to do.
Yes. Well, you know, our society actually doesn't teach much on looking inward. It also teaches us. It also always teaches us to look outwards and get things from outside, and change others rather than changing yourself, right? Yeah. And it doesn't matter whether it's in the West or in the East, it's really the same. Yes. But, I mean, in the East, I mean, being Chinese, we do have very long history of culture, and there are a lot of good teachings about going inward, like Confucianism or Taoism. But, you know, when at my age, I wasn't exposed to that. I did not have a chance to study those things. So, I wish I had. Only when I actually encountered the teachings of the Buddha, I actually, had this chance of really starting to understand how important it is to really go inward rather than go outward. Yeah. Great. Yeah. Thank you, Varsha.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know what? Your mind really doesn't cheat you. It's just when you sit on the meditation mat and it wanders off. Those are the old habits pattern. Because the mind is so untrained and untamed, so without that mindfulness, it just goes away. But cheating and tricking is quite different from that, I think, right? With an untrained mind, it just goes off, wandering off. But during that wandering off, if there is any scenario that comes up that may trick you to behave differently, or to think differently, then that's a trick. Okay? So if it wanders off, it's just that because it's so untrained and so untamed, and it's so used to wander off because you never trained it. But so that is one habit. People like to, for example, with people with eczema, they get used to scratch all the time, even though it's not itchy, but that becomes such a habit already. But if it starts to get itchy and the mind says, "Oh, pick on it, it will heal," then you start to pick on it. Then there you've been cheated by the mind, by that itchiness, so-called itchiness. So I think that's a slight difference in that wandering thought than the cheating mind. That's how I feel. I may be wrong, but that's how I feel about your wandering mind. Okay, Nora. Did you unmute them?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Okay. So I'm sorry I missed last month, but thinking this over, I think some ways I trick myself is thinking that I have lots of time, that you can put things off, and thinking that things are sort of and actually, like thinking that they're stupid or thinking that they're whatever, but we're all sort of complex beings, right?
Yes.
And that getting my way isn't gonna, we need to help each other. I mean, we're interdependent. We rely on each other.
Yes.
Not that I should work really hard just to get something external that will make me happy, because that won't really make me happy.
Yes.
So it's just a cultural thing. I think we're just brought up to be selfish a bit.
I think in the West, we think that we are so superior. We think that we are so capable. Nobody can be as capable as me. I think that we were brought up that way, and we were taught that way. And I think the social values actually pointed us towards that way too, right? So yeah, we are so superior, we think, but we are not. We are actually not. So that's really trick. That could be very tricky. That could really cheat us.
Yeah. We have a lot of opinions, like I do. I have a lot of opinions and judgments.
Yeah. And do those opinions and judgment get you to anywhere near closer to happiness?
No.
You see, then that's the trick. That's the cheat, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And expectations too, having expectations isn't,
Yeah.
Then you get all impatient because it doesn't happen or
Yeah.
it's taking too long.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Yeah. Good. Wonderful. Nora, thank you. Anybody else? Hi, Eva.
Thank you, Sifu.
Yeah.
I have a very current example. So my parents are very physically they're elderly, and physically they're going through a lot of difficulty now. And I went down to help them with their trailer that they've had for like 35, 40 years. And they have to give it up because they just can't take care of it anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not safe for them to go there. And while I was there by myself fixing it up, I was like, well, if I fix it up like this, then they can keep it. And, I'll help my dad drive down and it'll be okay. They can still come and they'll be so happy if they can keep it. And I had to keep reminding myself that actually it's not safe for them to be here anymore. But beyond that, also to really address like issues that need to be looked at instead of just trying to look at the window dressing of happiness.
Yeah.
So, but I constantly caught myself trying to like, oh, it's fine. I'll just make it like this and they'll be so happy. But it's not addressing real
Issues.
problems.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we also sort of giving ourselves reasons to avoid and not to look at it directly. Because, as I always say, it's so ugly. We see ourselves being so ugly, even though on the surface we could be very pretty and good looking, but when these things start to arise and you think, I don't want to look at you, it's so ugly and so naked, and it's just so depressing to see that you are like, I am like this. And it's very difficult to accept that I am like this. Very difficult, because in our head we have an illusion that I'm not like this. I'm way over this, But when it comes out to be like this, no, that's not me. No. So we keep decorating, we keep pushing away, avoiding the situation, avoiding any situation that will sort of allow it to surface again. Hey, no. Push it down, or push it away. Or go sulky for a couple of days, and then the third day, and you go singing in the forest, you go weightlifting, and you let all those negative energy out. You think that's been done with, that's been dealt with. That's good. I'm good to start all over again. No problem. Wait until next time it comes up again. It's even worse. So we really need to face it. We really need to face it. I am a very critical person. I always have critique to so many things, So the other day, I think my way is the best way, right? Always. So there was cheesecake there being offered. So Jeffrey was cutting the cheesecake, and I said everybody was eating, starting to have lunch and eat. And I said, Jeffrey, eat first, and then eat the cheesecake later. But it was very hot, so the cheesecake was sitting in the dining room 20 minutes, 25 minutes with a refrigeration. So I finished first, so I went to cut the cheesecake, and it was mushy on the bottom. So Jeffrey was very kind to come and offer to cut, and I mumbled to him, you know what, you really shouldn't have cut this cheesecake before everybody was eating lunch. And then you know what? You should have put the cheesecake back into the fridge. It's so mushy. It's so hot. And it's cheesecake. And he looked very sort of down. And he said, yesterday when I cut the other cheesecake, it was mushy on the bottom. The paper was mushy, soft. Oh, I said, oh, I'm sorry. That's my mistake then. Right away, I sort of apologized to him, but because I didn't want him to feel unhappy, but I already made him unhappy. But I said, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you unhappy, but this is how I saw this. But you could have put it back into the fridge anyway, right? Even though I said I'm sorry, but I said you could have put it back into the fridge, right? He said, yeah. Then he walked away. I apologized, but I did apologize at that time. I did apologize with sincerity because I knew why it was mushy on first day, but on second day it make it more mushy by being left in the room for over 25 minutes. The first day it was mushy. I could understand why, because people took it from Vancouver to here, like 1 hour and then 15 minutes, because they came for meditation in the morning on Sunday morning. So even though they had a cooler, but still, right? So I could understand that. But that day, on Monday, when it was served, then I think it should be, dealt with in a better way. So, our mind really tricked us, and really, really tricked us, because we think that our way is really a very good way, or not even not the best way, but our way is way much than everybody's way. Might not be the best, but better than your way, better than your way. Yeah, so it's really difficult to keep a track on our mind if one allows this mindfulness to slip away all the time without building it up. It's very, very easy to be tricked by it. Okay, especially when we are on the go, right? When we are on the go, all the senses are so active, it's so difficult to keep track. Very difficult to keep track. Yeah. So, don't worry, I made the same mistake. I constantly being tricked by my own mind. But you have to be better than me, All right, any more sharing? Okay, all right, then we go on to, we start tonight class. So we have done that. Last time it was about the mind. So this time is about benefits or no benefits. Benefits because of practicing, or no benefits because of not practicing. So what does the Dhammapada teach in this? And benefits actually could happen in this life, happen in next life, or happen in many, many lives that follow. Anything that we do, think, or act will bring on a result. So in the Dhammapada, actually all these verses that convey has to carry the same message. Whatever causes we plant this life, they will bring on a result very soon, or a little bit later. It could happen right here. For example, when we drive, if we drive recklessly, there could be an accident right away, right? Or if we don't, or later in this life, or next life, and so on and so on. So in the whole, within this whole book, for the 423 verses, there are actually a lot of verses talking about the law of karma, the law of cause and effect, and its actions, and which actually tells us our morality actually determines what kind of actions we will perform, and the actions performed will actually determine what consequences will come. So we need to be very, very mindful, because with wholesome, good actions, that definitely will end up in happiness. Unwholesome definitely will end up in the dukkha, sufferings or miseries or unhappiness. So do not misunderstand or do not mislead yourself that karma equals fate. Karma doesn't equals fate. This is a total misconception. And in what the Buddha actually taught, karma doesn't equals fate. Okay? Karma means volition, action, and actions come from intention, and which may manifest itself outwardly in bodily performance or verbal performance, or remain internally as unexpressed thoughts, desires, or emotions. So in the past 11 classes, we have actually studied on how wholesome karma or actions rooted in mental states of generosity, detachment, goodwill, and understanding, and unwholesome karma action rooted in mental states of greed, hatred, and delusion. So all these will actions we perform in the course of our lives may fade from our memory without a trace, but once being performed, they leave subtle or very strong imprints on the mind, which become the seeds with the potential to come to fruition in the future when they meet the right kind of conditions that are conducive to their ripening. So let us look at Dhammapada on the benefits of when we practice morality, cultivating samadhi, and developing wisdom. What kind of benefits, or when we don't practice, what kind of disadvantages it will bring? Okay. So verse 19. It says, although he recites many secret texts, if he does not act accordingly, that heedless man is like a cowherd who only counts the cattle of others. He does not partake of the blessings of a holy life. So this is actually a very, very good story. And the story actually, the Buddha actually, because of this story, the Buddha gave two verses, verse 19 and verse 20. So 20, it says, although he recites few secret texts, if he puts the Dhamma into practice, forsaking lust, hatred, and delusion, with true wisdom and emancipated mind, clinging to nothing in this or any other world, he indeed partakes of the blessings of a holy life. Remember, the holy life is right here, right now. It's not the past, okay? Nor the future. It's this life. So, verse 19 and 20, it talks about the two friends when the Buddha actually uttered these verses at Jetavana Monastery with reference to two bhikkhus who were friends. They came from a very noble family. Both of them came from Savatthi, and one of them are very fluent in the literature, in the Tipitaka. That means the literal part of the teachings, and very proficient in reciting and preaching all the texts. So he has a group of 500 monks and bhikkhus, and became instructor of many different other groups. But the other friend, who was also a bhikkhu, very strive very ardently and diligently in meditation, in vipassana meditation, and attained arahantship, and together with supernatural power. So on one occasion, when the two bhikkhu came to pay homage to the Buddha, they met at Jetavana Grove, Jetavana Monastery, and the first master who was fluent in the Tipitaka did not realize that the other one has already attained arahantship. Of course, as I always say, if you're a high school student, you wouldn't know what a university student or a PhD student is studying. But a PhD student would know everything about high school and junior high, whatever, right? So it's the same with this one. So he because he was so fluent, he was so arrogant, and he belittled the other bhikkhu, thinking that this old bhikkhu knew very little about the sacred texts. So he thought of putting questions to the bhikkhu who actually attained arahantship. The Buddha at that time actually knew this Tipitaka bhikkhu was going to give this arahat bhikkhu a hard time. So, the Buddha stopped them and then brought them to a place that, okay, let us sit down and you share with me of your progress. Then the Buddha started to ask questions. He knew if he put questions out about just the theory part, this Tipitaka monk would know everything inside out. So the Buddha actually asked the questions to these two bhikkhus. He said, I want to ask you about something about jhana, about samadhi, about jhana. And so see how do you understand about jhana? About this path to jhana. And the Tipitaka monk was nothing, because he didn't practice meditation, right? No words come out from his mouth. All he could produce was some very theoretical stuff. So, and this Arhat monk, because he actually walked through this path himself, he experienced this jhana himself, so he vividly actually explained and shared his experience of jhana with the Buddha and everybody around. So the Buddha started praising the Arhat monk, but he did not say one single word of praise to the Tipitaka monk. And the bhikkhus, the group of bhikkhus, were very surprised, because they always look up to this Tipitaka monk because he was so fluent in all these theories, right? And but they did not hear a word of praise from the Buddha on this monk, but yet the Buddha was praising the other monk all the time. So they didn't understand, so they went to ask the Buddha, why? Why did you not praise our teacher who was so fluent in the literature? And the Buddha explained the matter to them. He said, the scholar who knows a great deal but does not practice in accordance with the Dharma is like a cow herd, only able to look after the cows and get a very minimal or reasonable salary, but he doesn't own any cows. So he cannot benefit from the 5 produce of having cows. What are the 5 produce of cow? Milk, cream, butter, Buttermilk
Buttermilk, okay.
and ghee.
Thank you.
So those are the 5. You not bad. You've got 3 or 4. Yeah, those are the 5 products of cows. So the Buddha said the one who is like very fluent in secret texts would not benefit from the 5 products of cows, because he doesn't own those cows, right? He only gets a salary. But those who actually practice the Dharma, putting the Dharma into practice and giving up lust, hatred, and delusion with true wisdom and emancipated mind, clinging to nothing in this or other world, indeed will partake the blessings of a holy life. That means he will benefit from having cows. So you can see when you practice Dhamma, you are the one who is going to benefit in this very lifetime. Okay? So, verse 29, he said, "Heedful among the heedless, wide awake among the sleepy, the wise man advances like a swift horse, leaving behind a weak neck." So, these 2 bhikkhus, actually obtaining this meditation subject from the Buddha, went to the monastery in the forest. One of them being very negligent and spent his time, wandering here, wandering there, warming himself up and going to bed and sleeping all the time and idling his time away in useless things. But the other one actually faithfully and diligently practiced the duties of a bhikkhu. He did walking meditations in the first walk of night, and then rested during the second watch, and then meditated during the last watch. That means from 2 to 6 o'clock in the morning, the last watch of night. Being diligent and very, very mindful, the second bhikkhu actually attained arahantship within a very short time. At the end of the rainy season, they returned back into the monastery to pay respect to the Buddha. So, and the Buddha always asked a student, "How had you spent your time during the rain retreat?" And the students always replied honestly. What is honesty? So the first bhikkhu said, "Oh, well, I saw him. I saw that bhikkhu always idling, always sleeping and lying down." And the Buddha asked him, "So what about you?" "Oh, I generally sat up and warming myself by the fire during the first watch of night, and then sat up without sleeping throughout the rest of the night." So he was lying. He lied. But he think that he could lie to his teacher. But Buddha knows everything, right? So the Buddha knew quite well how the 2 bhikkhus had spent their time. So he said to the idle one, he said, "You are lazy and negligent, and you claim to be diligent and mindful. But you have made the other bhikkhu appear to be lazy and to be negligent. But he is actually, on the other hand, was very mindful and diligent. You are like a weak and very slow horse compared to my son, who is like a strong horse." So the Buddha actually said these verses in here, he's 29. It said, "Mindful, heedful among the heedless, wide awake among the sleepy, the wise man advances like a swift horse, leaving behind a weak neck." So leaving behind a weak neck, that is the benefit of practicing diligently in this lifetime. And in 155, it says, "Those who in youth have not led the holy life, who have failed to acquire wealth, languish like old cranes in a pond without fish." Can you imagine a pond without a fish without water? Would they be happy? Would they continue to live? No, they can't. They won't, right? So they would definitely die without water. Okay. Or no, old cranes in a pond without fish. Crane feeds on fish, and if there is this pond without fish, the crane will die. It's just like the fish without water. And in 156 it says, those who in youth have not led a holy life, who have failed to acquire life, lie like worn out arrows, a bow sighing over the past. That means it doesn't have any strength to hit the target, right? It just gone. So in Dhammapada verse 133, it says, do not speak harshly to anyone, for those thus spoken to might retort. And indeed, vindictive speech hurts, and retaliation may overtake you. So you could say, oh, what does it mean? Retaliation is the result of speaking harshly. And it happens right here, right now, in this very lifetime. Or even in this very moment. When you speak harshly, people may retaliate right there. We have seen so many incidents, right? People get the gun out and gone. Or people get the knives out and stab, die, or strangle, or whatever, or end up in fights, or end up in prison, or end up, losing one leg, one eye, whatever. Because why? Because the harsh speech. So 134 and 134 and 133. No, it's just 133. So we need to remember, we need to be very mindful of our speech. And the story tells actually about this Thera Konda Dana. When the Buddha actually resided in Jetavana monastery, where he actually spent a lot of time, he actually uttered these verses with reference to Thera Kondanana. And when this monk was admitted to the order, everybody saw that he was followed by a woman. He always have a woman next to him, by his side. And he himself did not see her. And he did not know about it, and nobody told him. So when he was out on alms, and people would offer 2 spoonfuls to him, okay, and this is for you. And then another spoonful to him is, this is for your female companion. Ooh, wow. And seeing the bhikkhu going about with a woman, people started rumors and started gossiping. And eventually, people went to the king. So they went to the king, King Pasenadi, and they say, and this bhikkhu always went out for alms with a woman, and it doesn't look nice, And then they said to the king, I think you should actually get rid of this bhikkhu from the sangha, and because he doesn't have any morality, and you should actually kick him out of your kingdom. So the king went to the monastery where that bhikkhu was staying, and surrounded the bhikkhu with all his men and soldiers. So hearing noises, all these bhikkhu came out from their residence and stood at the door, and they saw that there was this bhikkhu with a woman. And knowing that the king had come, the bhikkhu thought, why would the king come to get me? I have done nothing wrong. So he went into his room. Once he went into his room, the king followed, But the king inside the room didn't see any woman. Only when he was outside, the woman appeared. And so the bhikkhu talked to the king, I don't have a woman. Look, I do not have no woman here. And the king saw, yeah, there's no woman here. So the king believed that that woman was not real. So the bhikkhu must be innocent. So he actually forgave the bhikkhu, and also he took one step forward. Is he invited the bhikkhu to have alms, to offer alms to him. So the other bhikkhus were very puzzled. Why? He had no moral. He had a woman next to him, and now the king, instead of driving him out of the kingdom, driving him out of the sangha, invited him to receive alms. The bhikkhu said, and those bhikkhus said something to the bhikkhus, you are doomed, you shouldn't go to the king, and you have a woman all the time. And the bhikkhu said, I did not have a woman, you are the one without morals. That's why the king now invited me to go, because you are the ones with the women, I don't have the woman. So they were fighting, right? And so the bhikkhu went out for alms to the king, and then the other bhikkhus went to the Buddha. And the Buddha said, okay, send him here. So Kondadhana actually went to see the Buddha, and the Buddha said to him, the Buddha called all the bhikkhu his son, my son. Did you see any woman with the other bhikkhus that you have talked to them about? And you have not seen any woman with them? And he said, no, I haven't. But they have seen a woman with you. I see that you do not realize that you have been cursed because of an evil deed that you have done in the past life. And the bhikkhu was shocked because of past life deed. Now I had a woman following me all the time. That's unrealistic. So the Buddha told him the story. He said, you were a diva in one of your past life, in one of your existence. You were a diva, like a heavenly being. During that time, there were two bhikkhus who were very much attached to each other. And you didn't like it, and you tried to create trouble between the two by assuming the appearance of a woman and follow one of the bhikkhus around for that evil deed, because you wanted those two bhikkhus separated from each other. So you appear as a woman and follow one bhikkhu. And because of that ill intention, you are now being followed by the image of a woman. So my son, in the future, do not argue with other bhikkhus anymore. Keep silent, like a gong, with the rim broken off, and then you will realize Nibbana. That's 134. If, like a broken gong, you silence yourself, you have approached Nibbana, for vindictiveness is no more in you, harsh speech, and no more retaliation from others. So this is the story of Thera Kondadhana about past life unwholesome deed, bringing on to this life difficult life situation that he faced. A woman following a bhikkhu, what kind of scene is that, right? So 89, he said, those whose minds have reached full excellence in the factors of enlightenment, who, having renounced acquisitiveness. After this facial palsy, I have so much difficulty in pronouncing all these words. I need to practice more, make more funny face, and it's been 20 years, almost 20 years, and rejoice in not clinging to things, rid of cankers, glowing with wisdom. They have attained Nibbana in this very, very life. So you can imagine when we practice factors, how many factors of enlightenment? Well done, Eva. 7 Bojjhangas. You all have done 16 steps to Anapanasati. 7 factors, 7 Bojjhangas, factors of enlightenment, who have renounced this attachment, grasping, rejoice in not clinging to things, and rid of cankers, glowing in wisdom. They have attained Nibbana in this very life. This very life. You don't have to wait until next life or 7 lives later. Okay? So this is this life. Then what about next life? Any effect will, this very life, it will happen this very life or over the course of many lives in the future. Okay? So verse 85, it says, few among human beings are those who cross to the farther shore. The rest, the bulk of people, only run up and down the hither bank. So, and 86, it says, but those people who act according to the perfectly taught Dhamma will cross the realm of death, so difficult to cross. So that means you're crossing from this side of the bank to that side of the bank. That means you cross into deathlessness. Oops. Okay, so the Buddha actually uttered these 2 verses at the same time, with reference to a congregation of people who come to listen to a religious discourse in Savatthi. And one of the group of people from Savatthi made special offerings to the bhikkhus collectively, and they arranged for some bhikkhus to deliver discourses throughout the night in their own vicinity. And many in the audience cannot sit up and stay awake, and only just a few could stay for the whole night and listen to the discourses. This is a very common tradition in the old days. During the Buddha's time is bhikkhus take turn to give discourses throughout the whole night. And people would gather together, and it's very difficult to actually stay up for 24 hours, so continuously listening to discourses, unless you have very strong samadhi, and then you will just be, sitting there and practicing and listening to discourses. So there were only a few who were really able to listen attentively to the discourses. So at dawn, when the bhikkhus told the Buddha about what happened the previous night, the Buddha said, most people are attached to this world. Only a few can reach the other shore. Most of them keep running up and down the bank, going nowhere. So why would only so few are able to cross to the other side? And what does the Buddha mean only a few could cross and most of them actually keep running up and down the bank? What does he mean? Most of us are so ignorant. And we, as Nora just pointed out during the reflections, we think that we still have a lot of time. We think that this is not urgent yet. The other things are more urgent. the other mundane things are more urgent, worldly things are more urgent. So we put this spiritual practice on the side. So when you read these verses, can you relate them to yourselves? Aren't we like those beings? We are just like them. We keep running up and down all the time on this shore and being lost in these runarounds. Like Canada introduced this roundabout, right? In the exits within this last 10 years or so. And I always like to use the roundabouts as a scenario to samsara, continuous birth and death. So in the roundabout, if you don't know how to read those signs, this goes to bridal fall, that goes to agassiz, and if you don't know, or that goes to shamnik, and if you don't know if you want to go to bridal fall, or you want to go to shamnik, but you take the agassiz part, then it's gone. Then you have to come back again, and next time you miss that, or you went to bridal fall, come back again. You see, that's our life. We live this life, we're gone. Oh, we're running in a circle again. Oh, come back. Hopefully come back. I don't know. As a human being, have to be very, very moral in order to be reborn as a human being. Have to have a lot of merits in order to be able to be reborn as a human being next lifetime. And then next lifetime, we keep on chasing, keep on running around again. But it's only different roundabouts. Maybe this time it's not at the Press Road. Maybe next time that was McCollum Road, right? That is a bigger one with a Clearbrook Road with a big raspberry sign there, right? Right? Running around. Why do we keep running around? Because we are ignorant and we think we have time. It doesn't matter. This is only a minor offense. Why do I have to let go? I'm not wrong. They are wrong. Who wins at the end? Who loses at the end? Right? Us. We lose. So, but those people who act accordingly to the perfectly taught Dharma will cross the realm of death, so difficult to cross. And the monk who delights, verse 32 is that the monk who delights in heedfulness and looks with fear at heedlessness will not fall. He is close to Nibbana, next lifetime. Through many a birth in samsara have I wandered in vain, seeking the builder of this horse. Of life, repeated birth is indeed suffering. Verse 153 and 154. O house builder, you are seen. You will not build this house again, for all your rafters are broken and your ridgepole shattered. My mind has reached the unconditioned. I have attained the destruction of cravings. So, you all know these two verses. You read these two verses. Actually, these two verses are expressions of very intense and sublime joy felt by the Buddha at the moment of attainment of his own supreme enlightenment. And after enlightenment, he actually uttered these two verses. And these two verses were repeated when he resided in the Jetavana monastery at the request from Ananda, his attendant. So when he actually attained his supernatural power, he saw that he was building houses many lives ago. And so that's why he kept on running around in samsara. Or not being reborn again, and then he saw many sentient beings are exactly the same, building houses, and the houses broke down, and then find another house, and broke down, and find another house. So this is a scenario I always use when I actually visit some people who are dying at hospice. I remember there was one who is not a Buddhist at all, but he wanted to see a nun. So his wife requested her friend to come and talk to me, see if I can go and visit him. So I did go and visit him. He was dying at that time. He was very irritated, agitated. He was like pulling his clothes off and pulling everything and fighting and scolding his wife and everything. He was so irritated. But he wanted to see a nun, a monk. So I went, and so I went there and straightforward, I said to him, you know why I'm here? He said, yeah, because I invited you here. I said, yeah, you invited me here. And I said, do you know about your life situation? He said, yes, I'm dying. I said, good. You know that you're dying, so I can punch in to talk about dying, right? So I plunged in and I said, so what do you understand about life and death? He said, nothing. I don't want to understand about life and death. I said, okay. So do you want to hear about how Buddhists look at life and death? And he didn't say yes. He didn't say no. He sort of like, if you want to talk, you talk. If you don't want to talk, I'm okay too. You know, that kind of manner. But you know, I don't get angry with those manner. I knew that they are suffering, so I said, okay. I said, you know what? You know, our body is just like a house. And now you're so sick, and you've got cancer as the end stage, and you know, it's so painful, and you cannot use it, you cannot walk, and you cannot pee, and you know, it's just like a broken house. And if you could just let go and just be with it, and just let go and calm yourself down. And maybe next life you'll be able to do something else. And what do you think, how do you think that we could find another new house, a better house? And he said, I'll kill somebody, then I'll find a house. That means he said, sort of like a replacement, right? So I kill somebody and I get his house. I said, no, it doesn't work like that. You kill somebody, you get an even worse house, a more broken house. I said, no, you can't do that. Then I said, okay, maybe you should actually start to go and close your eyes and just feel a few breaths and then rest. I want to talk with your wife for a little bit. And he did listen to me and close his eyes. So I left the room and I talked to his wife. I said, you know, he's very irritated. He's in a lot of mental pain. And I think, you know, this kind of, I think we just have to give him some time and some space. And I said, do you have any children? She said, yes, we have 2 children, and they are coming back today and tomorrow, one from China and one from Edmonton. I said, good. Okay, when the one comes back from Edmonton, I think you both of you should sit together with him and acknowledge his, you know, his performance in this life, achievement in this life. He has been such a great father, and blah, 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 and, you know, looking after the family so well, worked so hard, and blah, 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 blah. Whatever good traits that you have seen from him, just tell him. Keep talking about that, even though if he doesn't pay you any attention, or even though he might be sleepy, just like casual talk and talk and talk. And I said, you know, all this theory is not going to help him. All this spiritual talk is not going to help him much. But I think the family support is very important for him at this moment. And so the next day, the lady called again and wanted me to go. But that day I had my eye operation, I couldn't go. And he actually asked to take refuge. But he couldn't say that he wanted to take refuge because I gave him a rosary bead, rosaries. He kept pointing to the rosary bead. And the wife understood. He said, "Did you want to see Sifu?" And he nodded. So he wanted to take refuge. So, but at that day, I was going into the operation room for my eye glaucoma. So I sent Han Sifu there to do the refuge for him. And after the refuge that night, he passed on so peacefully. And it's totally different from the person beforehand. So this broken house, when it's ready to let go of it. Don't cling on to it. Okay? So, that was the next life. And this world and the next world, so that means the benefits of this life and the benefits that come after. In the Dhammapada, it describes us in this world like these people on the beach, like going up and down, up and down. You know where this is? Isn't that a beautiful picture? That's the Pacific Ocean in San Francisco. I don't know what's that beach called. What's that beach called? Cliff, near the cliff. Oh, you're from there. Okay. Anyway, it's San Francisco. I look from the cliffs, and took this picture from up above. Sunset, beautiful sunset. Verse 16 says, "The doer of good rejoices here, he rejoices hereafter." So optimistic, isn't it? Right? And he rejoices in both worlds. He rejoices and exalts and recollecting his own pure deeds. So, Buddha uttered this verse in relating to a lay disciple. This disciple is called Dhammika. He was very virtuous. He was very fond of, he was very generous. And he always offered abundant food and necessities to the bhikkhus on a regular basis. And he was, in fact, the leader of 500 very virtuous lay disciples of the Buddha in Savatthi. He had 7 sons and 7 daughters, and all of them, like their father, they were very, very virtuous and very generous. And when Dhammika was very ill and was on his deathbed, he made a request to the Sangha to come to him and recite the sacred text to him. But when the bhikkhus were reciting the text, and Dhammika was dying at that time, they were reciting the Satipatthana Sutta. Dhammika saw 6 chariots from 6 celestial worlds who arrived to actually receive Dhammika. But because the bhikkhus were reciting the Satipatthana Sutta, haven't finished yet. So Dhammika waved and sent those chariots away. Go away, I still have to listen to the Dhamma, the recitation of the bhikkhus. Go away. But the bhikkhu misunderstood, and they thought Dhammika was sending them away. So they haven't finished the Satipatthana Sutta, and they left, leaving Dhammika and the children there. And they went back they went back to the monastery, and then Dhammika said, "Why did they leave?" And the children said, "Because you waved them away." Dhammika said, "No, because I waved the chariots away. I wanted them not to disturb me to listen to the Satipatthana Sutta." And then Dhammika came to terms with it. And he told the children, there were 6 chariots, and they are ready to come and take me away, and I'm ready to go. So the Dhammika at that time took a garland of flowers and threw it to one chariot, and the chariot, it was from Tusita heaven, and he threw it there, and then he passed away and was reborn in the Tusita world. The bhikkhus went back to the monastery, and the Buddha said, "You finished?" Of course the Buddha knew, right? He said, "No, we haven't finished, but Dhammika waved us away." Buddha said, No. You better go back. You went back, you go back and finished off the Satipatthana Sutta. So they all had to go back. So, you see, Dhammika was a very generous, very virtuous person, and this lifetime he already attained this benefit of being received and being, 6 chariots from 6 heavens, 6 diva worlds to come and receive him. And at the time of death, he was so sound and sane, and he chose where to go. And he threw this garland towards the chariot from Tusita heaven. So, and he actually was reborn. So this life and next life. And he could still continue to practice. So, and then verse 18, it says, the doer of good delights here. He delights hereafter. He delights in both worlds. The thought, good have I done, delights him, and he delights even more when gone to realms of bliss. But those who actually gone from realm of bliss because they have performed well this lifetime. But what about those who don't perform well or who don't do good deeds? The evildoer grieves here. He grieves hereafter. He grieves in both worlds. He laments and is afflicted, recollecting his own impure deeds. So, this is a story about the pig butcher. You probably have heard about him. He never was generous. He never gave alms, and he was a butcher. And by the time he was ready, he was going to die, he actually walked like a pig, walked with his 4 feet, and he cries like a pig, and he was crazy, and his family was so worried. His family boarded up the whole house so that nobody could see him crawl on his 4 legs and cry like a pig. But the bhikkhus walking out for alms, heard that. So they went back to the monastery and reported that to the Buddha, and told the Buddha how miserable the pig butcher was. His name was Kanda. And he was in great pain and agony and grunting and squealing and kept on moving around on his hands and knees. And the Buddha said, well, he will die soon. And on the day 7th, he died, and he was reborn in the prison, in the hell's realm. And the Buddha said, because what he has done was unwholesome. He caused a lot of pain in other beings. And so He grieves in this world before he died, and he grieves in the world that come after. And the evildoer suffers here, he suffers hereafter. He suffers in both worlds. The thought, evil have I done, torments him, and he suffers even more when gone to realms of woe. So this is the whole story about Devadatta. You all know about Devadatta. He tried 3 times wanting to kill the Buddha, and he, of course, was not successful. And by the time he was about to die, he was very sick, and he wanted to go and see the Buddha and seek repentance from the Buddha. And so his students actually took him out, and as soon as he stepped out from his own hut, and it was said in all the stories, the earth just opened up, and he was swallowed in. And he did not have a chance to go and see the Buddha and seek repentance. And that was the end result of Devadatta. And so, verse 131 is that one who, while himself seeking happiness, oppresses with violence other beings who also seek happiness, will not attain happiness hereafter. The Buddha saw a group of young men trying to, hitting a snake with a stick, and the Buddha asked them, why did you hit that snake with the stick? And these youths said, oh, we are afraid that it will bite us, it will kill us. And the Buddha said, if you do not want to be harmed, you should also not harm others. If you harm others, you will not find happiness in your next existence. So that's verse 131. If you want happiness, do not harm others. And verse 132 is that one who, while himself seeking happiness, does not oppress with violence other beings who also desire happiness, will find happiness hereafter. We, as human beings, always wish for the same thing. What is that thing? Happiness, right? We want happiness in this immediate visible life right now. And the way to live at peace with ourselves and with our fellows, to fulfill our family and social responsibilities, and to restrain the bitterness and conflicts and violence which will infest human relationships and bring on immense sufferings within this lifetime to ourselves, to others, to society, and to the world. So the baseline of cultivating happiness really is nothing but morality. If we don't want people to steal things from us, we do not steal things from others. If we don't want people to harm us, we do not harm others. If we do not want people to hurt us, we do not hurt others. It's just so simple. So if we want to be happy, so we want others to be happy. And if we want others to be happy, we want ourselves to be happy too. So it's vice versa. So we need to concern for our own integrity and our own happiness, our long-range happiness, not just a short-sighted happiness. Oh, I just want today to be happy. No, we want to be happy throughout this lifetime and throughout into next lifetime. And we want others to be happy as I am, because we are all human beings. And we also respect other beings, like a dog, a cat. And I've seen news about people gluing a cat with cement on a road, with cars going back and forth. What's happening to these people's mind? Or putting a puppy into a garbage bag and just throw them out of the car? What happens with people's mentality nowadays? What happens to this world? Why are people so cruel? Think about if that is their baby, if that is their child, if that is themselves, what would they feel? How would they feel? If we put ourselves into others' shoes, I think we will be a much, much more compassionate and considerate person. If we put ourselves into others' shoes more often. Don't you think so? Right. So if we want this life to be happy, to have happiness, I think we should start right away to build up our morality, our generosity, our compassion, our consideration, and let go of more craving, let go of our anger, let go of our ill will more often. And even though you don't need to wish for happiness in the next lifetime, but it will naturally come your way. You don't need to wish for it. It will come your way because of this lifetime performance. So, I still have reflections for you to do homework. After 12 sessions on exploring the Dhammapada, is there or are there any topics or verses that really touch your heart, make you think? And which ones? And how have they affected you? And the last one is, any benefits of studying the Dhammapada? I think these are quite good questions to conclude the Dhammapada. And if you want, first week in August, we could go through these reflections, or you can just do it at home yourself and go through these reflections. Up to you.
Okay, thank you, Sifu. Just wanted to say I just love that story.
Which story?
The one that how he helped the dying man.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like he got so much comfort and confidence in you that he wanted you to come back.
Yeah, possibly.
Maybe you helped him to die peacefully. Maybe you helped him in his next life too.
Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully, yeah. I think I probably have actually hit him right on the head. That's why he asked his wife to ask me to go back to give him refuge. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done that. But his wife told me that when he passed on, he looked really, really peaceful. Totally two different person. Yeah.
So you made an impression on him.
It doesn't matter what I have made, but what matters was he did it himself. Really.
No,
Yeah.
that's a great story. Very inspiring.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I have quite a few of these great stories. Need to put into a book. Yeah. Thank you. All right. So you've got the questions, right? You've got the reflections. All right. Okay. Come back in August, Sifu. August, okay. August the 1st. Okay. Same time. But we finished the Dhammapada. All right, then next time we'll do the reflections. All right, if there is nothing else, then we do dedications of merits. May these blessings extend to all, that we with all the other living beings together will attain the Buddha way. May we wish more and more people will encounter the wise words of the Buddha, study them, understand them, and practice them. and help themselves to disentangle from all the sufferings, miseries, and dukkha, and be ultimately peaceful, happy, and liberated. May you all have a good month